Have you been given the advice that you ought to focus more? Or have you had the problem that you do one thing after another as a project that you hope will succeed and they don't? Let me tell you, well, that's me. So let me tell you a little bit about why the advice to focus is really like 10% of the story in my thinking. Focus, what does that mean? If you focus on I never liked the idea of focusing, because if you focus on the wrong thing, you see plenty of people who are very focused on the wrong thing, like keeping their shop nice, and that's great. Maybe the shop fails anyhow because, Amazon or I don't know what. So you can focus too much. And secondly, focusing is about forsaking other things, and maybe those things are better. So then what do? Well, you focus on the things that you might do and you research them, and that's a whole nother thing about how do you research them, which I'll go on to in a minute. Then if you can figure out the thing that's most likely to work, you can pursue that. But you're also going to exhaust yourself and have to be critical of what you're doing at a level that you've never had to do before. At least I hadn't. I could go and say, I'm focused on writing this novel. I have worked for 6 months on a software contract, and now I'm just going to do that. And I can go and write, and it's great. It feels good. I'm going to be famous. I don't revise what I'm doing. I don't think about the plot. I don't think about whether people are reading novels anymore. I don't think about a whole bunch of things. And eventually those things, those doubts, those worries combine to the point where I don't want to work on the thing, or it just goes wrong. It's like I'm writing it wrong, and I'm too discouraged to try to figure it out. Let's take the alternate view where you spend a lot of time before you even start on figuring out whether something is a good idea. And people call this research, and they say you should research other businesses and all that. And that's, again, 10% of what you really have to do. And you don't want to do any of this because you want to get to it. You're excited about this idea you have. So what do? Well, a great thing to do is to put the idea aside in a journal and then revisit that idea and all the other ones over and over and over again, trying to and have some criterion as to whether they make sense, and identify the problems and see whether you can push through them. So for example, if I were going to try to write a novel right now, I would be faced with a lot of things. I would be faced with the fact that a lot of the novels I see I don't like much at all. I don't know why exactly, but I don't. And so I have to say, well, can I write a good one? I know I have certain weak points that I'm not good at figuring out. So all of that. Now, then I've got the other things that I'm working on, and those things have their own challenges. Any given thing, a novel is not bad because the odds are that you alone can do it, but I also build campers, and there are so many things that can go wrong. I have tried doing other things that were gigantic in scale and would have required me recruiting a lot of people to compete with Google Maps, for instance. A good idea at the time, but no way in hell that I could do it. So that's right out, because I'm not the kind of person who will go and rally a bunch of people together, on top of which I don't have the funds to do that kind of thing. I haven't proven myself with a smaller thing, so why are people going to do what I'm suggesting? So and now let's talk about some more encouraging things. You want to pick something that is a stepping stone, that you get it done, you get the result, and you get some money out of that. For me, that was starting up some Airbnbs. I fixed up a few old houses and I rent them out to large groups of people. And that was something I loved doing anyhow, so it wasn't that hard. I mean, it was hard because it's expensive to fix things up. And I also am a little bit shocked at how much luck went into that. It was sort of like, oh, we'll fix up a big house and then we'll rent the rooms out separately on Airbnb, and people didn't like that at all. And then someone suggested, oh, well, why don't you rent it to large groups of people? Oh, that worked brilliantly. And then found another house. And at that point, that was it for scaling this thing, because the market maybe is saturated, but for sure, there aren't any big old houses in that area. So I could have then pushed this thing and moved to a different region, which I didn't want to do, and maybe failed because you push something too far. So I'm a little off topic here, but the point is, I found something that let me quit my day job so that I could chase the other things I wanted to do, because I was kidding myself as to whether I had enough energy at the end of the day to do something. I was cheating on how hard I was working, all these bad things. So that's the research you want to do. You want to make a long plan where you're going to be like, I want to make something, maybe I'm not thrilled about it, but I'm going to make a little bit of something, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to have that under my belt, and years are going to go by as you try to figure that out. But your alternative is that years will go by while you're writing a novel or whatever, and you won't get anything from that. That's much worse. I mean, it's easier because if you're not revising things, then it's not so hard. You're just sort of like, I'm writing this novel, I'm sure it's going to come out great, until it doesn't, and then you give up and you move on to something else. After all of that, there's the other research you can do, which for a certain kind of person maybe works, like, well, how many Airbnbs are in this area? How many cater to the large groups? How many large groups want to rent them? Oh, I'll put out fake ads. I've known people who do this for this to see if I can get traction. But there's like, the margin of error for those kind of predictions is giant. Then there's the, am I doing this in a situation where I can be a part of something bigger to get more leverage? And I used to disdain that, but of course you heard me say it. I too through Airbnb and Vrbo, and I couldn't reach the customers, especially given that they exist, but I couldn't reach the customers and have all of the background stuff like insurance and payment and all that. I couldn't run that on my own. It would be too much work, because it's enough work to get the house going, and I would have been saddled with that work. I would have been this guy behind a desk in an old-fashioned Airbnb. So if you buy into a franchise, that's what you're buying, but you can also buy into a bad franchise. So I've gone on long enough. I want to circle back and say that the advice that if you want to get something done, you have to focus, is near useless. I mean, it's the beginning of the path, but the very beginning of it, and you need to figure out what is going to get you, not to the big success you want, what's going to get you to a success that will get you to a success that will get you to a success, all of which you can complete, all of which you have the temperament to complete, all of which will make you a little bit of money, will let you capture something, maybe it's reputation as well if you're in a job. How are you going to do that over and over and over again? And you have to kind of figure it out in a loose sort of term, and how you're going to hold on to those resources you've acquired. That's what it means to focus on something, which doesn't sound like focus at all.